I love Final Fantasy. This series is one of the best JRPG series out there, there's no question about that. And recently, the long-awaited title Final Fantasy 16 has been released and people are loving it. It has insanely fluid combat, stunning visuals, tremendous music, and truly above all else, a compelling story. With that said, you might be wondering why the title of this video is sounding like it's so against this video game. And that's because when you're playing the game, you don't really feel like you're playing a game, unfortunately. Final Fantasy 16 feels insanely empty to me, empty of most things that most JRPG titles have. I'm not even sure where to begin with this mess, really. Don't get me wrong, this game can be fun, I just don't get to have the fun enough. The story and characters we are treated to are just an absolute delight sometimes, and I love the people that we get to meet, but this game is just bloated with characters that we're expected to know and care for. There are for sure the definite main characters who get proper development, aka only Clive and Jill, let's be real here. Then you get treated to characters who you think will be important and may even steal the spotlight, but ultimately go nowhere or just don't get enough screen time. And then after that, you have characters that are shown that you're expected to care about, but the game does nothing to make you actually care for them, unfortunately. So enough about these cardboard cutouts. Let's talk about how the game actually plays out. So most of the time, you're gonna sit through a 10-minute long cutscene, you're gonna have to go fast travel somewhere onto the map, you're gonna have to go talk to someone there, listen to them blabber on for about a minute or two, you're probably going to go talk to someone else nearby, listen to them blabber for a minute or two, and then finally you maybe get to go do a main mission. Finally get to do some combat, sit through constant cutscenes, and then go fight a boss that is not even remotely challenging. And then after that, you get to sit through even more lengthy cutscenes that then requires you to fast travel somewhere else again, and then begin another cutscene, and it's just rinse, wash, repeat. This game is a tragedy. The story in this game feels like they're done similar to anime arcs. There's a looming villain or threat that we need to take care of right now, and then once they're defeated, we're just gonna move on to someone else. There is no Sephiroth. There is no Kefka. There is no Arden. There's no main villain that just stands out that's looming over you the entire time. And then you think that there is, but then there's completely shelved to the side and you don't even ever get to see them or hear from them for a long time. It's bad. There are generic villains and villainesses. They are all able to stand out on their own, but then once you're done with the game, no one's gonna stand out to you in the next coming months. That's just how it is. Not to mention they are presented and explained very poorly. I couldn't tell you how many enemy factions there are because it just feels like they're thrown at you every single second, and then there's always some new bad guy in group that you have to deal with every single major arc of the game. So there's just so many things happening at once, I don't understand how you're expected to remember each one. It's just a shame how lacking this game is in making villains stand out. Oh, but don't worry, because they look super pretty, don't they? And don't forget that they can be gay too. The best part of this game is undoubtedly the icon battles, but unfortunately they don't lift the bar that's already set very low when it comes to this game's combat. And there's barely any ways to spice up the combat while you're fighting as an icon. I feel like I'm just spamming the same 2 buttons over and over again until the other icon's been defeated. I'm doing this for 20 minutes straight and I feel nothing. So why is it that in these giant grand battles with the icons, the enemy icons always have like 15 different abilities that they're gonna throw you every single second, but you're forced to do the same 4 inputs? I mean, look at this gameplay. You're literally just spamming the 1 button repeatedly. Isn't this riveting? Isn't this game of the year material? This is one of the game's biggest selling points, that you're gonna fight in these giant kaiju battles, and there's barely anything for you to do. And there's nothing in these battles that get me actually excited to actually play as them. There's nothing going on in these battles. It's all quick time events and the same button inputs until the other icon is defeated. It sucks. If I wanted to mash buttons, I just go play a Warriors game. Who let this trash in? Shoo, shoo. Now when you're playing as just Clive, his combat is also a button mashing mess. But thankfully they got away from the disaster that was Final Fantasy 15's combat and actually let you change around how you get to play. It's like Devil May Cry now with this style switching design. The combat really is fluid and it feels amazing. Unfortunately, every single battle in this game is easy as shit. There are these cinematic moments, aka something that shouldn't be in a video game because it sounds like they're just trying to make it a movie, where there will be this moment that will happen and you'll either have to mash square or push the R1 bumper. and that's it. And these moments happen so much, and it's like, why? It just ruins the flow of whatever's happening, and it's just the same buttons every single time. These are the worst examples of QuickTime events I've ever seen. If you're going to have a QuickTime event, for the love of God, randomize what button you're going to have to press. At least that way it'll keep me on my toes. But now, whenever I see a cutscene happening in a game, I'm just expected to get the square button ready or the R1 bumper ready. It never changes. Not to mention that they give you so much time to push the button. And it's like, for what? Oh, Clive, look out! Dodge this giant attack that's coming right at you. But don't worry, we're gonna give you like 10 seconds to dodge it. Like, these battles lack tensions, and that's just a damn shame. It feels like my hand's constantly being held in this game. There was a viral video going around about this guy eating food while spamming one button in a battle, but he didn't realize that he had accessories on that pretty much plays the game for you. I made sure to not use any of these accessories, and even while still playing the game is still easy as shit. There is no difficulty slider, it's only set at 1. And the enemies in this game just do not try at all. I mean, they will attack you, but they give you all the time in the world to do a perfect dodge so you can do a big attack on them back. It always happens, and it's so easy to do. There is nothing going on. You barely take any damage in these battles because of this. But don't worry, the game will let you pick up more than enough potions off the ground so that you're always gonna have max potions all the time, and you're never gonna use them because you're always gonna find more potions that you will automatically use. This game is just too damn easy. There are no learning curves, there's no grand way to master combat. The most you can do to change up your combat is learning new magic skills and switching up the icons mid-battle. But the developer thought it'd be a great idea to only have 2 abilities set at once, which each icon you get a blessing from them, but you can only use 2 abilities from them at once. They gave you this entire skill tree, and you are severely limited to how you can actually play around with them. So you will learn which skills you're best at, and you're just gonna use only those skills until you finish the game. And I'm sorry, but that's boring as hell. Everything in this game is just neglected. There are shops everywhere you go, and there's things that you can craft. Turns out you will never use these things because why the hell would you? There's a blacksmith that you can visit and many merchants who all sell the exact same thing. Useless items that don't make you more powerful, and you already got more than enough potions during your journey. It's that you can get a better sword after integral parts of the main story and slightly better gear. And that's it. That's the only time you will ever buy anything. I have so much money in this game and I can't even spend it because they don't give me anything worthwhile to buy. Not even the buffs you can buy are worth it, because why the hell would they? I'm already more powerful enough, and the enemy's already super easy. You can't even upgrade the gear for your friends, or even your loyal dog Torgal. Why are there so many stores that you can't buy anything from? And don't even get me started on the quote-unquote side quests. I say it like that because they barely even qualify as side quests. You're gonna go and talk to a person because they need your help to rescue an item or a person. And then you're gonna go to where the location is. You're gonna go talk to more people there to get more information on your quest. You're gonna face a really super easy enemy every single time, and then you will save said person or rescue an item, and then you go back, give it to them, get a reward that's not even worth it. This sucks. They do nothing to give you more lore of the world around you or the characters that you meet. The stories you get to experience will go nowhere at all, and it will mean nothing for the grand story. The side quests in this game are just a waste of time. They do nothing for you. That's not even worth the small amount of experience you get. It's just a waste of your actual time on this planet. And going back to the main story now, you can just clearly tell this was the main focus. You'll be sitting in your chair constantly watching characters talk to each other more than actually playing the game. This is the kind of game that I call a cinematic video game, where the focus is on the pretty visuals and the storytelling happening around you instead of the actual gameplay. Games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, Death Stranding are absolutely cinematic games. Do you ever hear people talking about just how amazing the gameplay are in those games? And Square Enix is just banking on everyone to be impressed by the new and improved combat and the stellar visuals, and hoping that you won't actually realize just how shallow this entire experience is. Do you realize how empty this game is? You don't even get to explore the map like at all. This game looks huge. There's mountains in the distance, look like you can go explore, and there's just fields everywhere there looks like you should run through. But you don't get to experience any of that. It's all just so it's like, ooh, how pretty, ooh, I'm so mesmerized. This entire game is so dependent on its fast traveling. Games should never be dependent on fast traveling. It's dependent so much that the game forces you to fast travel at the beginning of every single main mission. What the hell? Remember in Final Fantasy 15 when you would drive all over the map with the boys? Remember in Final Fantasy 7 when you would walk over the map to your destination or use the vehicles to drive around the map to get to where you are? Why the hell is one of the most crucial parts of an RPG missing from this RPG game? The journey, it's missing. The map doesn't even look that big compared to other video game maps. So why the hell can I not explore this place freely? Imagine playing GTA 5 and every time you need to start a new mission in the main campaign, instead of being able to walk, drive, or even fly to your destination all on your own, you were forced to call a taxi and the game would just fade to black and load right in where you need to be. Oh, doesn't that sound interesting? Oh, it shouldn't, because guess what? That's the Final Fantasy 16 experience. To wrap up all my thoughts for this game, I'm just really disappointed. It's really hard to sit down and play this game for long sessions because I just get bored easily. This game feels like it was made for toddlers who don't want to be able to do anything at all. There's no intricacies to this game at all. It's boring. But Final Fantasy 16 was one of my most anticipated games in recent history. It's one of the few games that pushed me to get a PS5 as soon as possible. And once I begun playing it, you expect the game to get better and better and better. But guess what? It just goes nowhere and the fun does not increase past the first major chapter of the game. Oh what? Oh how fun. I get to use 2 abilities from each icon. And I'm just gonna keep switching and spamming each input just so I can defeat my enemies faster. That's lame. There's nothing you can do with this. Everything feels flat. Everything feels shallow. There's no reason to return this game at all once you finish it. And why should you? Do you want to spam the square button a million times again? You want to keep using the exact same abilities because the other ones are not going to be that interesting? Let's be real. You want to keep having to do all the work in every single battle because your partners barely contribute? It's just what a shame. What a shame. Final Fantasy 15 is more interesting than this, and that's the game everyone hates. But you can go fishing in that game. You can do so much more things in that game than you can do in Final Fantasy 16. There's nothing to do here. I'm just praying that they won't mess up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth like they did here. As long as they keep the combat the same, it'll be fine. You know, the combat in that game is actually interesting. You can change characters, have actual different abilities, change up your friend's gear, actually go do stuff in the world. You know, a fucking video game? I'm just done. Final Fantasy 16 is not a game. It's an experience. It's a conveyor belt experience that once you play it once, there's no reason to ever come back to it again because there's nothing to do once you're done. There's nothing else to experience. There's nothing else that you can do just for fun. It's a conveyor belt and it is not a game. And I'm done talking about this. Have a good and safe day. Thank you for watching.